Welcome back. Earlier today, I had a conversation with New York Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul. As we mentioned earlier, a lot of legal maneuvering on tariffs today. This discussion occurred before a federal appeals court halted a lower court's effort to block the so-called Liberation Day tariffs. The U.S. Court of International Trade said President Trump exceeded his authority to implement tariffs on his own. Your reaction?
They were absolutely correct. He exceeded the authority. It's up to Congress to engage in the tariff negotiations, and he just ignored that. And I will say this, as I've been saying since day one, these tariffs are nothing but a tax on everything you purchase. And as a border state with Canada that shares 450 miles with them, this was already having an impact on our farmers and others who rely on that cross-border trade. So that's a good outcome. I only hope the Supreme Court will also follow the rules and make sure that this is a permanent decision.
I want to talk to you about immigration raids. There have been raids in courthouses in 4 states, including New York. ICE agents, some in masks, waiting to arrest asylum seekers after their hearings. The records often suggest those being targeted do not have criminal records. Do you regard this as moral, legal, ethical?
No, this is the opposite of what President Trump promised to run when he ran and what he told me in many conversations, that they're going after the worst of the worst, the people who've committed crimes in their own countries, people that are committing crimes in our state and harming others. I mean, I'll work with ICE, and I've said this hundreds of times, that those are the people I also want out of my state. But those who are following the rules, going down to immigration court to have their required meeting on their path to asylum, they're just sitting ducks now. And to have ICE distracted from getting the real criminals off our streets, which is what we support, and focusing on people who are law-abiding or have been here for years and years and have built up a family and a business, I'll tell you what, I have 400,000 open jobs in the state of New York right now. I want people who want to come here to work, file the papers to be here legally, and embrace them and let them start paying taxes and being part of our family and our economy. And what's happening with these raids, and I'm not just talking about in courthouses, we had a horrific raid where ICE members showed up at a farm at 6 a.m. in Tom Homan's hometown of Sackett's Harbor in upstate New York. You know who they took? Not criminals. They took away a 3rd grader, her mother, and her teenage twin brothers. They just scooped them up. Dad wasn't home at 6 a.m. Why? Because he was out on the farm milking the cows that early in the morning. They took him to a detention center in Louisiana for 11 days. I raised hell about that because this is exactly the opposite of what we are told. The law-abiding individuals will be left alone, continue their jobs. We need them, and to go after the criminals. So, no, this is wrong on many levels, and we have to stand up and call it out for what it is.
Do you agree with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who described ICE as a, quote, rogue agency that should not exist?
No, we need to protect our borders. I don't support open borders. And what we're trying to manage in the state of New York is this influx of 220,000 people who came in the most recent wave over the last couple of years. And we want to have some control on our borders. But for those who are already here that want to work, that's a different story. But ICE is necessary on the border to help also get rid of the criminals.
Governor, according to the statistics I was just reviewing this morning, 7 million New Yorkers are enrolled in Medicaid. About 30% are children, and 71% of Medicaid recipients in your state work full or part-time. What effect would planned Medicaid changes being debated in Washington right now have on your state, your Medicaid recipients, and your ability to budget for the future?
One word: devastating. Absolutely devastating. This is a safety net program to help people who are struggling. And we've always, in the state of New York and in this country, have realized our responsibilities as those who need a hand up and to take care of our little kids and senior citizens in nursing homes. The vast majority of people in our state on Medicaid, most of the expenses in nursing homes. And what is supposed to happen to them? Are they coming back home? Are you going to take care of them? Republicans in Congress who support this. So they're at odds with the interests of their own districts, the people who elected them and sent them to Washington, and they need to be held accountable for this.
We'll talk to you about New York City for a moment, a city that thrives on tourism, quite understandably. And it depends on New Yorkers also their sense of public safety. And I must tell you, Governor, in ways that I have not heard since the late 1980s, when I talk to friends who live in New York, they have an anxiety about crime, either in the subways or on the streets. That lurking anxiety now bothers them in ways that they don't remember for years and years and years. How much of that falls on your doorstep?
What I'll say is that perception is real. I acknowledge that, and fear can be debilitating. And as a mom myself, the first mom governor, I know protecting people's families is my number one priority. So I speak often about public safety. And I've invested over $1 billion since I've been governor to keep our streets safe. Gun violence is down to historic lows. Subway crimes are down to a 27-year low. But me talking about statistics, I can't change the human emotion of fear that exists. But what I have done is take tangible steps to protect people in our communities. For example, the subways, the lifeline of our city, gets so many people to their jobs even late at night. People working in uniforms going into hospitals or to, be a night watch person. They deserve to be safe on our subways, which is why I, as the state, for the first time in history, have allocated funds to pay for New York City police. Now, this is a local issue, but I'm helping fund NYPD, so there's 2 police officers on every single overnight train. So those individuals feel more secure. I've also put upwards of 1,000 National Guard members in our subways to help people get that sense of security. I'm hearing a lot more positive outcomes from that, but we have a ways to go.